For some time now on the campaign trail, Ted Cruz has been telling this story about how his health insurance was canceled because of that damn Obamacare, and that if he had continued it somehow, even though it was taken away from him, then his rates would jump 50%, like is happening to Americans all over this great country. Unfortunately, it turns out that that's a gigantic pack of lies. We've got all the details, but first, here is the man, Ted Cruz.
Millions of Americans have lost their jobs, have been forced into part-time work, have lost their health insurance, have lost their doctors, and have seen their premiums skyrocket. New Hampshire in particular, premiums have gone through the roof. I'll tell you, you know who one of those millions of Americans is who's lost their health care because of Obamacare? That would be me. I don't have health care right now. I had purchased an individual policy, and Blue Cross Blue Shield canceled all their individual policies in the state of Texas effective December 31st. So our health care got canceled. We got a notice in the mail. Blue Cross Blue Shield was leaving the market. And so we're in the process of finding another policy. I hope by the end of the month we'll have a policy for our family. But our premiums, we just got a quote, our premiums are going up 50%.
Yeah, so all of that lies. He's been going all over the country telling that story. Now we find out that it's not true. One of his spokespeople had to admit that every part of that story was false. In statements to Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, his campaign spokeswoman blamed Cruz's false assertion that his family had lost their health insurance on a misunderstanding. Oh, yeah. She said an insurance broker told Cruz that Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas was dropping his PPO plan, but Frazier said that the broker did not tell Cruz his family was automatically being transferred to the carrier's HMO plan. Based on this information, Senator Cruz believed the family was uninsured and asked the broker to pull quotes immediately for a new policy.
Let's pause there for a second. Okay, if somebody tells me my insurance is canceled, I go, really? Like, that seems unusual.
Yeah.
What are my options,
Yes.
right? See, and he asked the broker to immediately pull the options. Okay, that makes sense. But the broker had already told him that he can now switch to an HMO.
Yeah. Well, it would be automatically switched.
Would
to
automatically
HMO.
be, so that's your
They're
option.
saying they didn't tell that, but Blue Cross Blue Shield said.
No, but let's break it down, though. Break it down. So he says, okay, broker tells me PPO is gone. I don't have insurance anymore.
Yeah.
I ask him for options. Now, the broker at that point decides not to tell him one of his options is that you're already enrolled in the HMO.
Yeah.
You already have insurance. He's like, oh, all right, I'll get back to you. No, of course, he knows that you went to the HMO. He told you went to the HMO.
That's what his job is, yeah.
That's, of course. And even the Cruz campaign is admitting, yes, the broker knew that we were going to the HMO. So he's lying. He's absolutely lying.
And Blue Cross Blue Shield sent out some notification to all of the people affected, giving them time if they wanted to look for something different and not be automatically switched over to the HMO. But to be fair, they only gave them 5 or 6 months warning, which is not a lot of time. I sometimes take a long time to fix that stuff. We can actually jump over to graphic 12. So you heard the last part of that was the 50% rise. So Cruz had claimed that his search for new insurance was complicated because his premiums are going up 50%. While premiums on average in Texas actually only went up 4% in 2016, and the single biggest premium jump came from a tiny carrier that is raising premiums by 34%. So what he doesn't actually tell you there is that the 50% number is that even though he was already going to be covered and could have continued with a rise of probably something like 4, 6%, something like that, he decided to go for a completely different insurance plan that was far broader, had more coverage, and that was more expensive. So he chose to buy a more expensive plan and then complained that the one he chose was more expensive.
But that also was not 50%.
No.
Because there is no plan in Texas that went up 50%.
Yes.
None.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, if you're dealing with your own family's insurance and somebody tells you you lost your insurance, you're like, do you really go, all right, we'll figure it out later?
It's 6 months.
Okay. I'm a little skeptical. And then they say, hey, your premiums are going up 50%, right? First of all, I thought I didn't have insurance. What do you mean my premiums are going up 50%? Second of all,
oh, shit, they might hit zero.
If somebody tells me my premium's going up 50%, Dave Kohler in the office tells me that, right? I go, whoa, say that again? That can't be true. Yeah. That's crazy. And I'd investigate it, and if I was Ted Cruz, a politician who hates Obamacare, that day I'd hold a press conference about how my premiums are going up 50%. Yeah. But he didn't do any of those things because his premium ain't going up 50%. on average in Texas it goes up 4%. He said it's happening here in New Hampshire too. Wrong again, Bob. In New Hampshire, on average they're going up 5%.
Yeah.
And by the way, some of the premiums in Texas and some of the plans are going down, not up.
Yeah.
Okay, one more final lie. Now, he could stay on his wife's insurance from Goldman Sachs, okay, because that's where she works. She's on sabbatical now to help his campaign. But he decided not to do that. He could go get it from the government. That's his employer. There's nothing wrong with that. And his employer covers 75% of his insurance costs. Now, he wants to be able to say, I don't get any money from the government, right, for my insurance. Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with that. They're your employer, and almost all employers cover a big chunk of your health care. That's what happens for all of us. But no, Ted Cruz is a slimy politician, so he wants to make a point against Obamacare. So he is going to go out of pocket to pay for that 75% extra. Can you imagine paying 75% extra for your health care? Well, to make a political point. I mean, even the most diehard conservatives like, I'll make that point later. Yeah. Okay, so then Michael Hiltzik at the LA Times made a great point. It's like, what are you complaining about your premiums for? You're voluntarily, needlessly, gratuitously paying 75% more when you absolutely don't have to.
Yeah.
And by the way, the reason you wouldn't have to is Obamacare.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama. And by the way, one extra lie. I believe he'll be the nominee, or maybe. But anyway, if he's not, check back 3 months after he drops out of the race. I guarantee he's getting that 75% covered by the government at that point.
Oh,
he's gonna be taking that
100%
money
right.
so fast.
100% of that 75% is going right into his pocket. Right. And by the way, it's Obamacare plus the fact that you normally get covered by your employer.
By the employer, yeah.
Right. So, okay. Once again, we've proven that Ted Cruz, monumentally full of shit.